Welcome to the SBI Podcast, offering CEOs, sales and marketing leaders ideas to make the number.
Welcome to the SBI Podcast, a weekly broadcast dedicated to helping you make your number by getting your peers to share with you how they are making theirs. Today we're going to demonstrate how to make marketing scientific through the use of a marketing operations department. So why this topic? Well, data is everywhere. Channels are exploding. Technology is changing. Executives require more detailed reporting. And marketing can no longer rely on intuition, and experience is no longer enough. You are living in the show me era, and this means marketers need a little less art and a little more science. My name's Greg Alexander. I'm the CEO of SBI, and I'm also your host today. And helping me today with our demonstration is a Vice President of Marketing Ops who knows a thing or two about this topic. His name is Arnaud Kraajvanger. Arnaud, welcome to the show, and please introduce yourself to the audience.
Thanks a lot, Greg. My name is Arnaud Kraajvanger. I run marketing operations at Genesys. We are a vendor that provides customer experience and contact center solutions to enterprises of all sizes.
Okay, very good. All right, why don't we jump into the questions here, and I'm going to kind of start at a high level, and then we'll dive down as the show goes on. So, Arnaud, my first question is, what are the business outcomes the marketing ops team needs to deliver?
All right. Well, today is actually a very exciting time to be in marketing operations because being more data-driven and having more data at our disposal, marketing operations is in a unique position to have a big impact on the business. And at the end of the day, the outcomes that we drive towards are what is it that our insights and our analytics can tell us to make the company and marketing in particular more effective and to drive better outcomes in how we do our planning and having an optimized investment plan for where we place our bets that will give us the highest return. How can we help with segmentation and really identifying and using data to identify the right customers? And how can we optimize our conversion and using scoring? So that's an effective area that marketing operations is very focused on. And the other area is just how do we make things more efficient and how do we scale? We're an organization that's growing, so you constantly need to think about what areas of the business can you streamline your lead to opportunity processes, our content processes to make the overall organization globally operate more efficiently.
Okay, very good. I think I got a pretty good feel for the business outcomes. Boy, that's a lot, so you must be a busy guy. Let me kind of dive one layer below that if I can. So the strategic focal areas of the marketing ops teams, it kind of feeds into those business outcomes. So what are the strategic focal areas for you?
Well, it starts off with having the right plan and using data to come up with the right plan. So with that, there's a lot of analysis that then goes into in your regions where you're trying to grow. Do you have an optimal investment plan there? Taking a look at how all your programs are performing, which ones are really sourcing opportunities, pipeline, and wins, and which ones provide a lift in how you can influence opportunities, be it influence them by accelerating a deal or winning more deals. And so that intelligence allows you to then propose to the rest of the organization an investment plan that will yield the highest return. That's a huge area for us. The other piece is making sure that we're focused on the right customers. And there's a general strategic objectives of the kind of profile we want to go after, and then making sure that within the organization, within our data, we have the segmentation, the attributes within our data set to allow us to effectively go after it. Another strategic area for us that is high impact is scoring. We have rules-based scoring that really allow us to manage the flow from a hand raiser to the person becoming a lead to all the way to qualifying them for an opportunity. So how we manage that at the right velocity with the right scoring becomes critically important to improve our conversion rates and be able to give the right deal to a sales rep to move them to close. Those are based on rules that we put in place, in addition to using predictive technologies that use a much greater data set to identify those leads that we need to engage with our lead development reps and qualify them and get them over to a sales rep. Other areas that are becoming increasingly important is beyond, as I mentioned, just the types of activities that source opportunities, also getting much greater intelligence about what types of marketing touches make a difference throughout the buying cycle. It's never one activity that is responsible for winning or sourcing an opportunity. You have many touches along that buying cycle, and understanding which ones give you a lift, accelerate, or progress an opportunity along becomes critically important. So those things are things that we're looking at closely, again, to provide guidance to the next of the organization as to what touches or combination of touches will make a big difference. The area, so that's strategic from an effectiveness side. From an efficiency side, it's really looking more closely and using data to understand what areas of our lead to sales processes we can improve, and looking at velocity in terms of at what point does an opportunity not become useful for a salesperson to handle anymore, meaning that if it's not actioned within a certain time frame, the chances of winning become nil. And using some of that data and effectiveness data throughout each stage, and then putting that back into our processes to make sure we have the proper SLAs from beginning to end, allow us to operate much more efficiently and allow us to really make sure we work on the right things that have the greatest chance of converting. And beyond that, just the final piece around those processes is not just putting those processes in place, but continuing to educate and having the dialogues and training together with sales that allow us to be fully aligned. That goes into training, that goes into a cadence where we review how these processes are working, and that's between lead development, marketing, and sales, to highlight areas where we need to improve and make sure that we stay completely connected on this process versus just saying, here's a process and let's just hope it works out fine.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. You know, we're talking about making marketing scientific, and you just heard a lot of reasons and ways to do that. Type of touches, predictive analytics, rules-based scoring, investment plan creation and execution, program performance, influencing opportunities, both accelerating and increasing the win rate. Just great examples of what it means to be a scientific marketing department. Okay, Arnaud, let me shift the focus here just quickly towards organization. So many of the people that are listening to this might not have marketing ops in place, or if they do, maybe they're early in their journey, and obviously you have a mature team there. So could you describe the marketing ops organizational chart, and specifically the working relationships with a few stakeholder groups: executive leadership, product management, sales management, finance, and IT?
You got it. So the way we're organized is, one, it's these functional areas of expertise. Marketing process, one person is a marketing process and training lead, and also provides execution and kind of shared services for campaign execution support in the region. We have a data and systems lead, really understanding the full ecosystem of applications, data, how all these pieces fit together for our entire environment. We have an analytics lead, a team that really does all the analytics and builds the insights and really comes up with the top questions that our analytics need to answer, as well as builds the KPI reporting for various stakeholders within the organization. We have a budget and planning lead, and I think it's important to note that and it's critical to our success, that everybody has a deep understanding of each other's function. These are not silos. They are extremely interdependent. And so any success within one is really shared by all, because it takes, if you're looking at a planning or an investment plan, it takes analytics, it takes data, and it takes all these different pieces together to make it successful. But that's how we're structured. In terms of our how we interact with other parts of the business, executive leadership. So we are part of the overall planning process and provide insight into the company and marketing planning cycle. We interlock very closely with sales in terms of identifying how we then develop our strategic plan. We're also sharing our reporting and our KPIs with them on a quarterly basis that rolls up to our board. From a product management standpoint, it's providing insights in analytics. So for their various solution areas, having within easy reach and easy access, real-time views into what the pipeline and the waterfall looks like, so they get the early indicators about what's happening with their products, what kind of messages and campaigns are resonating, and have a view into how marketing is supporting success within specific product or solution areas. Sales management, it's part of the planning. We have joint KPIs, so they're areas where, from a marketing standpoint, we really want to focus at, but from a company and kind of board level, if you will, KPI, we carry those together with sales, which really ensures that we're fully aligned and looking at the same end result that we want to achieve to support our company growth plans. Beyond the KPIs, the planning around that, there's a lot of work we're doing to ensure we are connected at the hip with sales operations and the sales processes, and highlight and work on, especially with those key handoffs between marketing and sales around lead management, but also understanding and using data to figure out what types of opportunities may need to go back to marketing for nurture, or what we can do to better help sales throughout their opportunity management cycle. The other thing is the cadence I referenced earlier, so that within the field, within field marketing and our lead development reps and our sales management, they are all looking at the same data, and that they have the insights to understand what does the lead flow look like, what does the opportunity flow look like, where are things out of SLA, where are things slowing down, where do we need to pay some attention to maybe a sales rep that may not be advancing an opportunity or may have some quality issues on the marketing side. And getting all this data out in front of everyone versus having siloed discussions is really having an impact, so that we're putting everything out there, good, bad, and ugly, and can quickly together make adjustments, learn from them, and move forward. Finance is key. Part of it is the KPIs, but just ongoing discussions in how we're managing our budget overall, and making clear and also explaining to them what certain marketing KPIs really mean, and that they have an understanding that also then flows into the executive committee about what marketing is really trying to achieve, and that there's clarity about, with this kind of investment, this is the return you're going to get. Some of them are hard returns, clearly in terms of pipeline revenue, and others are somewhat softer in terms of general awareness goals you may have, or analyst relation goals you may have within the organization. But that relationship is key. From an IT standpoint, with the rise of SaaS marketing or buying cloud solutions, marketing is in a position to really be hands-on with many of their technology purchases, and has a good idea of what they want, and at times may feel that they don't need IT. The key thing, and for us, has been to maintain a very close relationship with IT, and not just to go off in our own world and just purchase a bunch of cloud solutions, because at the end of the day, we want to be aligned not just with IT, but how IT can facilitate the cross-functional alignment between other functions as well. If you're dealing with a CRM that holds your customer data, then the customer and customer care organization is also holding that data. So you need to have the right alignment. You need to have a common set of definitions about how you look at data, and you need to get buy-in for technology decisions that you make. And so we have a very productive relationship there. So that's it for the functions and how we relate to them.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, an incredibly well-staffed marketing ops team, and we've got leaders in process, data, analytics, budgeting, et cetera. No one's working in a silo. Everyone's working together within the marketing department, and then outside of the marketing department, there's clear interlock with all the executive leaders, product management, sales, finance, IT, et cetera. So that's an example of how to do it. Right now, Arnaud, my audience is saying, holy cow, would I love to do that? How do I get the money to do it? So how did you get marketing ops funded to this degree at Genesys?
Well, I think part of it is looking at benchmarks and making sure that you're building it for the future and proving out that the insights that you deliver have a strategic impact, and that the insights you deliver, be it at the kind of higher level analytic level, that for example, the strategic plan and the investment choices or the recommendations around investment choices really have an impact. That people begin to take notice of that, or that the processes work well. So I think it is getting some successes and getting some wins that continue to build just the visibility of the function and the recognition that even a small organization can still have a very huge impact. If you're looking at scoring, if you're looking at planning, those things can make a huge difference in how you convert and grow a business. And I think to the extent that the organization culturally becomes more data savvy, and the more you're also sharing that data, making it accessible to the organization, the more people realize that funding is going to be critical to their growth strategy and to making everyone else within the organization more successful.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we're going to take a quick break. During the break, think about the 4 questions I asked Arnaud. Do you know the answers? Do you like the answers? If you need to get tighter in this area, or if you need to build a marketing ops team from scratch, I think we might be able to help you. Consider having one of our experts spend some time with you in a workshop. To get a feel for what is covered in this workshop, go to sbi.tips/2017 workbook and download a copy of the workbook we use in these sessions, and specifically turn to pages 248 to 251. Okay, this is the podcast. We'll be right back.
Meet Bruce. He's CMO for a pharma company in the Midwest. Every Saturday morning, he heads to his favorite coffee shop to watch SBI TV.
Dedicated to helping you make your number.
It's how he keeps on top of trends and learns about emerging best practices direct from top marketing leaders.
You don't want to be marching up the hill and look behind and no one is following.
For Bruce, it provides the jolt of inspiration he needs to stay on top of his game. That, along with his venti triple shot half-sweet non-fat soy hazelnut macchiato extra whip. How do you SBI? Take it to the next level with an SBI workshop. Learn more at howdoyousbi.com.
Welcome back. You are listening to the SBI podcast. I'm your host, Greg Alexander, and today's guest is Arnaud Kraajvanger, VP of Marketing Ops at Genesys. Today we are demonstrating how to make marketing scientific through the use of a marketing operations department. Let's jump back into the questions. So Arnaud, how do you measure the effectiveness of the marketing team?
So we work with all functions within marketing and develop specific KPIs with them. And they look at KPIs throughout the buying cycle. From awareness, we're looking at share of voice. So from a public relations standpoint, a social and analyst standpoint, how are we defining success? And how looking to push ourselves, be it for analyst coverage or be in a better position than the competition in how we are driving the conversation within our space. You get your demand gen KPIs, and that really focuses on opportunities, pipeline, and wins, with an emphasis for us on driving new logo pipeline. And that's continuing to transition more to a revenue marketing model, if you will, where it's less about just the numbers of opportunities, numbers of leads, but having everybody focused on the outcome. What is the dollar value that you're generating in pipeline, open pipeline, and in wins? The other demand gen metric that we're getting more sophisticated around is influence. So for deals that we win, what percentage of those are we influencing with some type of marketing engagement? The last piece is enablement, and it's a critical function for marketing, especially in B2B software selling to high-end and in more complex sales cycles, where you need to train and enable the sales force with the right tools to be successful. The measure and how we look at that is, at the end of the day, it comes down to, does all this help them improve their ability to sell, and does it help them win more? So we look closely at win rates, and that's in the joint KPI that we carry with sales. So those are the key kind of from across marketing, the key kind of measures of effectiveness that we look at.
Okay, fantastic. Behind those measures is analytics strategy, assuming you mentioned that you started to use predictive analytics. Could you describe for the audience kind of what your analytics strategy is?
Yeah. So at the high level, it's how can marketing ops use analytics to find the big levers that can really make a very big difference in business outcomes. Specifically, looking at our campaign strategy, our campaign portfolio, our channel portfolio, if you will, the different kinds of, do we do events, do we do online, web, third party? There are all these different options that you have. But what is the optimal path to success? And up front, using the analytics to understand that makes a huge difference. Our scoring, as I mentioned earlier, predictive, and our rules-based scoring to really understand what type of lead you need to act on that will give you the greatest chance of converting. So those are and then I mentioned earlier the multi-touch. So those are, from an analytical project standpoint, those are the areas where we are constantly working. It's not you do a predictive scoring exercise, you put it in the system and it runs by itself. You're constantly optimizing, reviewing, sharing, updating to improve the effectiveness. And those are the big levers that can really have a big difference. The other thing is, and it's proven that the more data and insights and analytics you're providing to the rest of the organization, the better performing the whole organization will be. And so it's a big focus for us to arm our campaign managers, our field marketing folks, with insights that look at everything that's happening within their business, and where they can quickly diagnose where things are not working well, or where there are some leading indicators that may look like they'll be in trouble, so that they can make adjustments in the field using that data to improve how they're executing and how they're going about their marketing. So there's that analytics piece for getting those nuggets that will have a massive impact, in addition to sharing and getting the entire organization more analytical and data savvy to make better decisions. Because too often still you find marketing organizations still making the same mistakes and not continually learning from what they've done in the past, using data to make better decisions, and how they then improve conversions, improve program performance, etc.
Yeah. Okay, so we had a very clear kind of measurement system, awareness, demand gen, enablement, that was supported with this analytic strategy, things like rule-based scoring. Let's now get to systems. So I'm sure you've got a pretty well thought out and robust systems architecture that supports all of this. Could you share that with the audience?
Yeah. So we have as you mentioned, a pretty big ecosystem of applications and tools to help us manage the business of marketing, if you will. Some of the key components we use Salesforce for our CRM. We use Marketo for our marketing automation and scoring. We use Mintigo for predictive, and we use Genesys, our own solution, to manage the engagement. And all those pieces are integrated. So when a phone call comes in to one of our lead development reps, or if we proactively have a chat on our website to a prospect that we push that chat based on understanding, again, and analytics of where we think that person is in the buying cycle, that lead development rep then has all that journey information about where that LDR or where that prospect has been. So those are some key elements. Now, the data flows into a big SQL database, and that's where we align with the IT team, where that provides a kind of an analytics backbone for us to do our dashboards and our analytics. We have Tableau on top of that we use for the dashboards that we build for executives and for all the various stakeholders within the organization. Beyond that, we have tied into this a project management tool that supports both the ongoing requests that come into the organization, either some things that need to be addressed, or questions, or just a ticketing tool, in addition to making sure that we're managing effectively all the key initiatives that we are working through within the organization. So the key thing there is just a level of integration between these various solutions, so that through each stage of the buying cycle, we're able to not just have that data pass on, but also leverage it for much deeper analytical purposes.
Yep. Okay, fantastic. So we have a well thought out tech stack there that seamlessly moves the buyer along their journey. That was a great example. Again, another example of how you can make marketing scientific through the use of technology. Okay, let's take another break. Before you come back, head over to Apple's App Store and download the SBI app. This will allow you to get all of SBI's sales and marketing content like this show in a mobile-friendly way. So we have one more segment with Arnaud after the break. We'll be back in just a few short seconds.
Meet Tom. He's the CEO of a leading medical device company, and this is his business partner, the latest SBI workbook. Every day, Tom uses the workbook to guide his sales and marketing vision. The yellow sticky? That's his corporate strategy. The pink sticky? His product roadmap. The dog-eared section? That's where Tom's mapped out next year's growth plan. The stain on the cover? That's from the champagne he popped open when they made their Q4 number.
That was a good day, wasn't it, Mr. Workbook?
How do you SBI? Take it to the next level with the SBI Workbook. Order your copy today at howdoyousbi.com.
Okay, this is our last segment with Arnaud, demonstrating how to make marketing scientific through the use of a marketing operations department. In this segment, I hope to reward those that have stayed to the very end of the show by offering them an action plan. So here goes. So Arnaud, if you were hired by a new company tomorrow with a mandate to make marketing scientific through the use of a marketing ops department, what would you do, in what order, and why?
Okay. Well, it's two things. One, you assess but you don't go with analysis paralysis. You assess well at the same time you just get started, knowing that you're always going to be improving. Your perfection is never there. So when you assess the organization, you're quickly taking the field, getting a snapshot of, do you have the right resources and the analytical capabilities to get the right results that you're looking for, and answering the questions that the organization would like use analytics to have answered. Is there a culture in place that is receptive to using data, and how do you approach that data? Is it all over the place? Are there no definitions? Where does this sit? And getting a quick snapshot of that. Processes. Is there clarity between the various organizations about how things flow, and especially when you look at lead and opportunity management, and getting a snapshot of your applications. But at the end of the day, even if data is in desperate kind of sources or spread out, or you don't have the perfect applications infrastructure, it should not stop you from just getting started right away. And what we continue to do is look at and assess within the organization what types of initiative and activities can be taken on, and measuring them by our ability to execute and their strategic impact. And what you'll find is that there will be some low-hanging fruit that have real strategic impact, but that within your current organization you can execute on effectively. And while painting out that vision for where you want to go long-term, and don't just immediately say, well, that's where you're going to get overnight, but understanding the steps and learnings you need to take to get there. So for using the touch analysis standpoint, you can start off with, say, well, let's look at what individual marketing touches have, what kind of lift they give on opportunities and on our ability to close business. Do that, and then build from there to a multi-touch analysis and understanding what combination of touches makes sense. So I would say, to kind of take a step back, understand what you have to play with, and begin to map out how you get the right people, culture, data, and processes, and provide the right education for people. You may have great talents in your organization, but you need to up-level their skills and get them to the right training, which can be very exciting and motivating for a team to build a more data-centric or data-driven marketing ops organization. And then getting your successes quickly and using that as a path to building understanding, sophistication, and insights, and greater insights over time.
Okay. All right, very good. All right, so Arnaud, we're out of time here. That was a great demonstration on how to make marketing scientific through the use of marketing ops. Thank you for sharing your approach with our audience.
Absolutely. I really enjoyed it, and thanks for having me.
Okay. All right, I also want to thank the SBI audience for tuning in. You have made this the most popular podcast in its category in 2016. Really appreciate your loyalty, and keep up those killer download numbers. If you want to learn more about this topic or the other areas we focus on, go to salesbenchmarkindex.com/register and create an account. This allows you to personalize your experience with our content. So, for example, you can choose the topics you're interested in and also how often you want to learn about them. Okay, that's it for today. As always, until next time, I wish you good luck as you try and make your number.
This has been the SBI Podcast. For more information on SBI services, case studies, the SBI team and how we work, or to subscribe to our other offerings, please visit us at salesbenchmarkindex.com.